Oh!
Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country road.
Now, before we get into the usual stuff, I just very briefly want to address the death of Machinima.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. As of today, Machinima has died.
What did you just say?
Your career as a full-time gamer is at an end. Take that, bitches.
What? That's bullshit.
He has passed away and is gone. You might be wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Well, Machinima used to be, at one point, one of the largest management partnership companies on YouTube. It used to be one of the premier companies you wanted to be with if you were going to make gameplay videos for YouTube and you wanted to make money. All right, we're talking back in the day, before you could even just monetize your own gameplay videos, because back in the day, you couldn't. When I started in 2008, you couldn't monetize gameplay videos at all. YouTube would not allow you to. And it wasn't until the era of like late 2010, early 2011 when companies like Machinima were picking up people like me from YouTube as content creators
Who had talent.
and saying, hey, you know, monetize your videos to make money under our network. We'll take a cut, but you're going to make out, you know, being able to make a living on YouTube. Okay. And, you know, it was an interesting situation for me because I had never done YouTube in any expectation of making any money. It was just a hobby that I had done from 2008 all the way through late 2010 and never made a penny doing it.
Well, what do you expect, man? I've been here trapped in my condo for the past 2 years playing this game. I mean, I haven't been able to shave or shower, and I've been surviving on a diet of just goldfish. I lost 20 freaking pounds.
And then all of a sudden, my office job that I had worked at for almost 5 years and busted my ass at decided to lay me off during a restructuring. Okay? And when they did, I was basically in a situation where I didn't know if I was going to be able to pay my bills. I didn't know if I was going to lose my condo, who I just bought in Connecticut. Like, it was a really bad situation for my life because, quite sadly, the situation was that I had done all these things for the office job. I had bought the condo near the job and done all these life changes, incurred all this debt for this company, and then they just discarded me, all right? So at the time, I didn't know what was going to happen. And at that time, Machinima was a very different thing. Let me just clarify. Machinima was a very different company back in 2010 than they were, you know, recently. And there was a couple individuals, one in particular, who I actually had beef with on YouTube. But after we had kind of squashed our beef, okay, he basically worked for Machinima. This was someone who, again, back in the day, Machinima was so different. If you were a content creator who they liked, they would actually offer you a full-time job at their offices as one of their full-time employees, creating video content for them exclusively for their channels and doing stuff internally. And so his name was Hutch, by the way. I should bring this up. Another major occurrence that actually happened in this past month is that, if you can believe it, Hutch, who works for Machinima, who was one of the major people involved in Machinima, who was, first of all, started off just making videos for Machinima channels, ended up getting hired full-time by Machinima, and moving to LA to work with those guys. He left Machinima, meaning he actually quit his job there, and then he left YouTube altogether, okay? He's gone. He's quit YouTube, okay? And people want to know, what are my feelings on this? Well, as you know, Hutch and I have a spotted history. We originally didn't even have any relation. I'd never spoken to the guy, and I had gotten a Machinima contract way back when. I think it was like late 2009, and it wasn't the partnership that I have now. It was the contract to upload videos to Machinima Respawn. And at the time, I had explained to my contact, gee, you know, I didn't think that this was going to work out, because I do playthroughs, you know, and video game playthroughs, I really doubt they're going to want to see that kind of footage on Respawn. Those are more like montage clips of first-person shooter games. Really has nothing to do with what I do. And they were like, no, it's okay, just sign the contract.
And when I did, all of a sudden, I got a second contract, literally, that had all these disclaimers and rules and stuff that I had no idea were going to apply. And I said, that's it. I kind of left a bad taste in my mouth that there was like these hidden terms, okay? And I spoke about this publicly, and all of a sudden Hutch heard about it, and of course this is his livelihood, and he very, actively and vividly made a video defending Machinima, saying that I'm a liar and all this, and I'm wrong, or maybe I misconstrued what was said. The bottom line is it was a double misunderstanding. I don't think either of us knew exactly what we were talking about. I think Hutch didn't understand that I was talking about one particular program and not another, and we ended up kind of making up and squashing the beef, as they say.
And I had a big beef with him. And then we squashed the beef. Everything was good. And then when all this shit was going on, that was so negative, he basically talked to the people who worked at Machinima and got me a partnership. And it was unprecedented, this happening, because someone who just did, like, Let's Plays with commentary, we're not getting these kind of partnerships back then. All right, it was mostly people who were like, oh, I'm a guru at a first-person shooter like Call of Duty, and you watch my video to see, sniping videos and the like. That was the stuff that was getting partnerships and getting popular. I wasn't. So for me to get a partnership like that was way outside the box and something very different than what was expected.
What the hell? I can't get the door open. What the hell? Can't get this door open either.
And, the rest was history for a good 6.5 years. Although I have to say that my relationship with Machinima over those 6.5 years was very up and down. Machinima always paid good when I was part of their partnership company. But they also had this program where they basically wanted me to start uploading my videos exclusively to their channels, which I always resisted. I always told them I wasn't interested in becoming someone who wanted to upload videos just to their channels to try to get exposure, that I wanted to kind of stay on my own channels and keep ownership of my own stuff. Because there were contracts that were very lucrative that I could have signed to sign my series over to Machinima and have my videos exclusively on Machinima channels, and I always said, nah, I pass, I don't really want to do that. Plus, let's face it, I always did raw, unedited gameplay, while they were looking more for edited stuff. So basically their offer was, hey, if you want to edit a playthrough of yours to have like the best of and upload to Machinima and make it exclusively our content, we would love that. And I basically told them, no, I didn't want to do that, okay? It was interesting to be with Machinima as a partner, because at some points, they sounded like they wanted to be your greatest ally, and then all of a sudden the company would completely change direction and change exactly what they wanted to be as a company, and then you wouldn't hear from them from a year. And I mean that, like, okay, here's your point of contact, Phil. If you ever need help with stuff going on YouTube, and we're going to have all these exclusive opportunities for you. We're going to fly you out to E3, and we're going to let you see all the games behind the scenes, and we're going to promote your content on the Machinima app, on the Xbox 360, and we're going to do all this great stuff, right? Then within 6 months, everyone who I had talked to at Machinima had been laid off or fired. All of those initiatives had been completely canceled, and the company had decided to make television series. And that's not me exaggerating or making that up. That's exactly my experience with Machinima. Like, they would want to do one thing, and before it even had a chance to get off the ground, it would basically be canceled, and the company would go in a completely different direction. Oh, and by the way, there'd be no communication about it, which was always my main complaint about being with Machinima. They never really properly communicated anything. I didn't even know half the time the people who were supposed to be my contacts were fired or laid off.
All of a sudden, my ad revenue on YouTube halves. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my bills anymore. I contact Machinima, and Machinima is literally, I'm not even exaggerating, literally treating me like dirt. Like, whatever, we'll look into it, but stop bothering us. That's kind of the response I got from them. That was kind of like, we understand this is important to you, but just stop bothering us. We'll get back to you when we feel like it. And I'm like, what? This is my livelihood. I could lose my house. I could lose everything. I could go into financial ruin because all of a sudden my YouTube revenue just dropped by 50%. And Machinima was kind of like, meh, who cares? And like, that's not the attitude to have when you have people who, especially me, I've worked with them for over 6 years, right? Being a dedicated partner for them, sticking up for them when people told me year after year after year to leave them because they weren't reliable and because of the things happening behind the scenes that they were doing that were underhanded and bad. And I ignored all that. All right? And said, no, I'm going to be loyal to them and I'm going to stick with them. And I stuck up for them for 6 years. And then all of a sudden, I get treated like dirt. Oh, well, so what if your revenue halved? We'll figure it out when we figure it out, all right? And after 2 weeks of waiting for answers and getting literally no answers whatsoever, I told him, I said, if this is how you're going to behave, I don't know if I want to be, with you guys anymore, because I have to be with a partner network that at least is going to try to get me answers and not just be like, meh. In reality, what I really think happened here is Machinima had no clout anymore. They had no ability to go to YouTube and get any answers because YouTube just told them whatever, we don't care. And they had no clout. So their hands were tied. But being a network, really being mistreated. Let me give you a specific example of what happened. I emailed the former head of the partner program, who I had directly worked with about a dozen times in 2015 and a little bit in early 2016 on issues just like this, whether it was copyright issues, revenue issues, whatever. I got a form letter email back saying this person is no longer with the company, write this other person instead. So I did. And the next day I literally got an insulting email from Machinima saying, you're already in contact with us on this issue. Don't go around us and try to write other people in other departments. We're already taking care of this for you. How dare you? And I was like, who are you to speak to me like that? You're basically disrespecting me because I might lose everything financially. You're not giving me answers. And then when I go to someone who's helped me in the past, you basically treat me like a small child and tell me not to try to seek out help. And that's what I told him. I said, I don't want to work with you anymore. Like, seriously, if this is how I'm going to be treated, I don't want to work with you anymore. And so at that point, I guess Machinima decided, gee, forget it. Since this guy looks like he's going to give us bad press anyway, let's get rid of him. And they canceled all my contracts. They basically said, at this point, we're just going to end all the contracts with you. And I was like, all right, fine. That's kind of what I want anyway, since you guys aren't helping me at all. All right.
Which is a complete mess when you think of a company. Every time I talk to them, might be a different rep or a different person or even a different method to contact them because they keep restructuring and changing their damn company. It was a big mess. Okay, it really was. I'd probably say the best times I had with Machinima were the times when, number one, that ad revenue was so good on YouTube that they gave me a raise. And basically, there was this one crazy year, I think it was 2011, when I first signed with them. I made an insane amount of money in 1 year.
It's true.
Like, more than I ever would have fathomed I would have made being silly YouTube Let's Plays, all right?
And then the bubble kind of burst, and by the end of 2012, they had to lower everyone's pay. Then they did it again. Then they renegotiated the contracts. It was like a mess because they really didn't know what they were doing with their money. In addition to that, Machinima, again, because they always had this identity crisis, they always had to seek funding from other companies. So first it was Microsoft, and that's why they made their Halo series that they made, some Halo television series. Then it was YouTube themselves funded them. Then they ended up getting bought out by Warner Brothers. Like, they just kept getting money from other investors and getting bought out by other companies. They never actually were able to be self-sufficient. So they were kind of always living on bided time to begin with, and it was just a really odd thing. The best times I ever had with Machinima, like I said, was the year when I made a lot of money. Also, I would say the year when they sent me to E3. And then I would say the late 2015, 2016, when they actually provided me with a lot of games as review copies. They were basically providing me with games to play for free. And constantly were contacting me on, would you like this game? Would you like this game? And games like Rock Band 4. What was the second one? Rise of the Tomb Raider? Yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think there were like maybe 5 or 6 games they actually gave me for free. Oh, Fallout 4. That's right. If you guys remember, they actually provided me a copy of Fallout 4 a day early. So I was actually able to play it a day earlier than I normally would have been able to.
And I got an amazing backlash from people in the comments saying, all you care about is YouTube views. Why are you telling us this? This has nothing to do with us. You've sold out. All you care about is money. To which I was like, whoa, why did I get that response? I'm in a position where YouTube is my livelihood. I make money on every video I put out. And people know this. And I'm doing pretty well for myself. That a lot of people are taking things that I previously would have said and taking it in a different light, okay? And I understand how that can happen. I absolutely do. And I apologize for anyone who's misconstrued something that I said, because I'm not all about the money. I don't feel I'm a sellout, and I don't think I'm always talking about making money or views or complaining about that or anything like that.
And it was weird, because again, at these times, it was great. I had a great direct point of contact with the company, people who were active and positive and wanted to work with me for me to put out good content and whatever. And then all of a sudden, they all were laid off. I'm not even kidding you. Like, after that time of 2015, 2016, the next time I needed to talk to them was early 2017 during the YouTube adpocalypse. Everyone who I talked to had been laid off completely from the company. No one was employed. And they said the only way I could talk to them was through an automated log system.
But that's what I mean. You can tell when a company has absolutely piss poor, terrible management, when the company cannot consistently make itself be anything. Is Machinima a company to provide video content to the internet, to YouTube? Are they making their own original content? Or are they a company that signs people to create content for their network? Or are they a company that partners YouTubers so that YouTubers can make money putting gameplay videos out on YouTube on their own channels? Or is Machinima a company that flies people out to E3 and advertises game launches? Or is Machinima a company that makes B-movie television series? And when your company is so ripped apart and diversified and never has a main focus, it can't succeed. You eventually have to sit down and say, okay, this is what we do, and this is what we're good at, and this is what we need to focus on. And they never did that. They just kept bringing in new management. The company kept fucking restructuring and destroying itself from the inside. All right. So if you're wondering why are we talking about Machinima today, as of today, the company is dead. They were bought out by a company called Otter Media. So basically, they were bought out by Warner Brothers many years ago, like 3-4 years ago. Warner Brothers never did anything with them. Like maybe had an initiative for one television series and then said, wow, this company sucks. They're not doing anything. And sold them to some company named Otter Media. Well, Otter Media decided we're just going to delete all the videos ever. So all the videos that were ever on the Machinima channels are gone. They've all either been put to private or deleted. And no one can access over 10 years of content that was exclusively contracted to be on Machinima. So just think about that. If I had accepted all of those offers that Machinima had given me back in the day to create content exclusively for their channels, all of my work would permanently be lost to the internet because I would have signed over legal rights to that content to them and the content would be deleted. And that's what everyone right now is saying is there was all these series like Arby and the Chief. There was this Sonic the Hedgehog series, Battlefield series, all the Inside Gamings and Respawn Entertainment shows. All that stuff is completely gone, deleted from the fucking internet completely, never to come back. So, goddamn, that's pretty messed up, right? Seriously, like that's terrible. And I feel for anyone who has worked for Machinima and that was your work and now your stuff is gone because the company basically ran themselves into the ground and now your stuff is disappeared from the internet. You know what I mean? Oh, wow. Oh, my God. I'm so mad. Oh, I'm jizzing in my pants.
That's what you get. That's what you fucking get, bitch. That really sucks. But there's a saying out there, folks, that things happen for a reason. And when basically I had my falling out with Machinima in 2017, it was very abrupt and very unexpected. Here's what happened. So in early 2017, after being partnered with them for over 6 years, the YouTube adpocalypse happened. This is when YouTube ad revenues literally went from like what they were to about a third of what they were. And I was like, God damn, there's no way I can even pay my bills with this kind of a revenue drop. So I contacted Machinima, and they basically insulted me and talked down to me and said, basically, you just wait for an answer, we'll work on it, don't worry. And I'm like, how can I not worry? This is my livelihood. I need that money to pay my bills. You need to get me an answer. You can't just leave me hanging as if I'm some kid and this isn't some big deal. This isn't some side hobby where I make $10 a month. This is, how I pay the bills of my house. And you need to get me answers. This is insane that this is happening. And I went out of my way to kind of contact the other people who I talked to over the years at Machinima, and all of them came back to me. These people no longer work here. They're fired. Forward all email correspondence to someone else. So I did. Then I got yelled at by Machinima. Why are you emailing people in the company? You shouldn't be doing that. You should just be waiting for an automated system to respond to you. To which I said, who are you to talk down to me like that? This is my livelihood. You guys have been a week and a half. You haven't given me a single update on what the hell's going on. And I need answers from you. And if you're going to treat me like this and tell me I can't try to seek help to pay my own bills and keep my house, then I don't want to work with you anymore. This is disrespectful, and I think that you're completely out of touch with what you're doing as a company.
And then they decided to sever my partnership and said, well, all right then, so be it.
Not again, you asshole.
That's the end of it. So basically, it was a really bad, disrespectful situation where they didn't want to help me. They didn't want to get me any answers. They didn't care for the fact that I might lose everything and lose my livelihood and lose my house. They didn't care. And when I finally put up a stink and said, I need to talk to someone who's actually going to give a crap, they just basically dumped me.
Remember the good old days when you could get a PS2 game for $50 on release day?
I will fucking deck a bitch.
It was funny because someone on Twitter arguing me, why did you tweet about this? This is so disrespectful and stuff. Well, guess what? The bottom line is the people who helped me out, like Hutch and other people who worked within the company. I'll even give a shout out. Chris, I'm not going to say his last name. This guy named Chris, twice. Once when I went to E3 and then later on he became the head of the partnership program. He helped me out tremendously over the years. They don't work for Machinima anymore. They were either laid off or fired. I don't know what the truth of the matter is behind the scenes, but they're not with the company anymore. So the people who did me right aren't there anymore. why would I be like, oh, I'm so grateful? You know what I mean? This company mistreated the people who treated me right. So it's really just a terrible situation all around. And as they say, maybe better that I left the sinking ship. Because here's the thing, it really was my departing from Machinima that turned me into a full-time streamer. When I left Machinima, I said, I will never keep things afloat the way things are at this point. What I need to do is diversify myself and try to find something else. And that was when I basically became a full-time streamer with Twitch. I remember I severed my partnership with Machinima and I came over to Twitch and I started playing Breath of the Wild. And that's when things like jumped over here on Twitch and my following jumped and people started contributing. And things have been good ever since then, right? I guess things happen for a reason. It's a good thing I left the sinking ship, because if I had stayed with Machinima and still stayed as a primary YouTube-focused guy, all the opportunities and things that I would have missed out on, I never would have had chill streams. I never would have had special events and things looked into games that I never had before. I still would have been focused only on YouTube content creation, and we've all seen how bad YouTube has gotten over the past 2 years in regards to the toxicity of the website, the ad revenues plummeting, all the issues they've had. Imagine if I was still only YouTube focused. Okay, can you believe that? I mean, that would be absolutely awful. So thank God that it happened when it did. It almost seems like that was the right time for that to happen, because the last 2 years I've been able to recreate myself as a live streamer
and become something different than what I used to be. In my opinion, better for the better. I'm more mature. I'm more open-minded. I have much better interactions and situations now with my viewers.
Yes, Mr. Dollop, this is very interactive. I'm reading all of your reactions, and sometimes I will respond to what you're saying. It is very interactive, except for people who whine and complain and bitch like little babies. Man, nah, Phil's not reading everything I say. Relax. Relax.
I listen to feedback. Things are just, overall, in my opinion, much better now than they used to.
And I should say fuck you to the customer service person who at the very end there treated me like shit and disrespectfully. And, you know, I guess sometimes karma bites you in the butt because you were so nasty to me and now you have no job. So, I mean, maybe you should have been a nicer person and not treated me with such utter disrespect at the end there to try to get me to just shut up, treating me like a little spoiled brat instead of understanding it was someone losing their livelihood, and you probably should have been nice to me and actually tried to help instead of being a complete dickhead to me, which you were. So,